part of Project 571, genetically engineered vampire created to destroy evil.
What do you want?
We need your help to kill a vampire.
Malleus Maleficario. It was written by a witch. The first witch. Titania.
That was a little snippet from The Witch's Hammer, the first film I ever solo directed, and it's just been remastered and re-released on Amazon. So if you like witches and vampires, then please do check it out. Anyway, let's get on with this week's episode. Is it possible to get your debut feature into cinemas? Well, I spoke to Liam Calvert. He's a first-time filmmaker and he's done just that. His first film, A Night Like This, has got distribution. It's just been screened at the BFI Flare Film Festival with help from Southampton's very own City Eye. So first of all, give us a bit of background on you. How old are you? Where you studied? Give me the background.
So I'm 27. I'm from Leeds originally. I sort of got into film and telly, sort of doing media in GCSE and then sixth form, and then decided to go and do that at uni. So went down, moved 200 miles away to Southampton to go to Southampton University, where I studied the film and television degree, because it had the sort of half and half practical and academic, which is what I was looking for. But as it went on, the practical sort of started calling out to me. So I got into editing, started out in editing sort of first and second year. Then as third year went on, I sort of wanted to be taking more of a proactive role in the production, a bit more of the creative side of it rather than just working at the end. I wanted to be more involved in the decision making from the start. So I started writing a bit more, wrote my final major project, and kind of wish I'd directed it at the time, but I think it was maybe a confidence thing. I was holding myself back a little bit. And then once I got to the end of the course, I realised, oh wait, I should have been directing that whole time. So went back and did a master's degree in film production at Southern as well. And there I was focused a lot more on the directing side of it. That was really just to get more experience of directing, being able to use the kit, being able to work on more projects. And then left that and then was finding other projects. Did a few short films, worked as an AD, running on a few TV shows and things, and then made a feature, shot last year. And now it's coming out. So that's the journey, really.
Right. So you made a feature, young to make a feature, straight out of uni, and it's called A Night Like This. So give me the pitch. What's it about?
So it's about two men in London. The main character, Lucas, he's in his early 30s. He's feeling quite lost. He thinks his whole life has sort of led up to nowhere. He doesn't really know what he's doing. He's looking for purpose, doesn't really know how to find it. Runs into this other guy called Oliver, who's quite rich, quite successful, but also feels quite lost in himself as well. And they decide to try a social experiment one night where they just spend the whole night together till 8 a.m, sharing everything, being completely honest with each other. And then in the morning, they're going to go their separate ways. So it's like a sort of free therapy session is how they're looking at it. And sort of the adventures and misadventures they get up to over this one night in London.
Amazing. And something people always ask when it comes to indie features, how did you fund it? How did you pay for it all?
So we're very low budget. So very low budget. So we did some crowdfunding for a bit of it. We got some private investment. We had a financier put some money in, and a miracle as well, raising some of the rest of the money, really. I'm not entirely sure how a lot of it came together, but we made every penny count, really, as well. So how we got it all working. So it was not a lot. It was, called in a lot of favours to get the kit, got some locations on, we can use it if we'll make you a video, we'll feature you in the film. Lots of scratching backs going on to get it made.
And I understand you've worked with City Eye, or they've helped you. So can you tell me how you've been involved with City Eye? And maybe for people who don't know, what is City Eye?
So we got some help from City Eye, like I said. It's a film charity in Southampton, so doing community filmmaking, networking events, training, things like that. I worked with them in between my undergrad and master's degrees as a sort of admin assistant, helping with the Southampton Film Week Film Festival they put on for a few months. And then after I finished my studies and when I'd had enough of my part-time job, my job at the time, I suppose, and wanted to do something industry related, I went back and worked with them for a year as production admin support, helping out with shooting, putting on the festival again. And then when it came to make the film, I approached them and said, "Hello, I'm making a feature. Help." And they graciously did. They offered a lot of support. They gave some kit. They provided Aaron West, their production manager, as our BCam operator. He came on board for a few days of shooting, and we got some young filmmakers from their BFI Film Academy came to be PAs on the shoot, which was really helpful. So they really helped out with us making it. So that was sort of calling in a bit of a favour, putting on a bit of a bat signal to get them to come in and help.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And I'd say that's a really good place to do some work experience, to sort of get a view of filmmaking and also everything that goes on in the city. So you've managed to get the film into BFI Flare, which is a film festival.
Mhm.
What made you apply? And were you surprised you got in? Have you entered a ton of festivals? Is this the only one you've gone for?
So this is the first festival that we've gone into because we only really finished the post-production of the film a few weeks ago, really. We shot in February last year, so it's quite a tight turnaround even then to get it all done within a year. But it was kind of the first festival we had in mind, and the sort of dream festival to premiere is that, really, because it's a London-based festival, it's a LGBT plus film festival, and it's sort of an LGBT, it's a queer characters in the film, and it's kind of close to our hearts. I was not at Flare, but at BFI London Film Festival October before last, and I was watching the Jodie Comer film, whose name has escaped me, but I was watching that, and they brought all the crew out on stage. This is when we were sort of talking about going into production for this film. I was watched all the crew come out and thought, well, this could be us one day, maybe in my wildest dreams. But now it's happened. And when it came to submitting, we submitted in December. And a few of the crew thought it was a bit of a pipe dream. And it is quite a dream to get it in, but I believe there was something in the film. I thought, it came together so well. The shoot, we got everything we needed. The shoot went really well. I thought there was something there. I think maybe I believed a little bit more than some of the other people did. Maybe I'm a bit more of an optimist / naive, who knows. But then it's paid off, and they liked our film, and we've got in, and hopefully it's the first. Well, it is the first of a few festivals that we've got coming up.
Oh, brilliant! I mean, talking of optimistic, the very first film I made, which was pretty bad, was a horror movie shot in Southampton. And talk about naive, back then we actually entered it to the Cannes Film Festival. So I don't know what we thought. I don't know how we thought.
You've got to shoot for the stars, haven't you?
You have got to shoot for the stars, but just now it just makes me cringe just to think about it. But what you've done there is really clever. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but you've kind of picked the perfect festival for your movie. And you've been to a similar one, the same place, so you've kind of got that experience. So shooting your first feature film, what's the most important thing you learned doing that feature film?
I learned probably too many things to list, really. I think I learned more. I think I heard you say it on another podcast, or one of the guests said it. It was like I learned more through the 4 weeks of shooting I think I had done on anything else I'd done beforehand. I learned that you can't really over-prepare, that there's all the preparation in the world, there's still something that can go wrong, so you have to be ready for literally everything. I think because we were quite limited in a lot of ways in terms of budget, in terms of time, it was quite a quick turnaround of shoot. We had a lot to shoot each day. I think that kind of inspired a lot of creativity of having to make it work. The DOP, Oliver Berry, and me, we had a just saying on set where something had happened. Okay, we've only got 4 hours. Oh, this actor has to go, or this has to go. And I was saying was just, we'll make it work. Because it was just adapting with it and making it work the best you can. What are the shots we need to get through? As the AD would say, right, you've got 6 shots for this scene. What are they? And we just have to think of the best 6 scenes to make it work, to get all the story. We couldn't really go too flashy, too stylistic, which obviously would be nice. But for that story, we just had to tell it the best we can. And it inspired a lot of creativity. Some scenes we only had 3 shots. So it was what are those 3 shots? What are they going to be? How do you think of the best way to do it? So I think that stripping it back to the basics and be like, what does this scene need? What's the scene about? What are the characters doing? What are they thinking? How do we get that across in the most sort of effective, efficient way possible? And that really taught me a whole lot more than anything else.
Yeah. Well, that's a very positive attitude. I think with Andre, my DOP on the Apocalypse Box, our expression would have been, we're never going to get all this done. When we look at our shot list, we're never going to get this done. So you've got the reverse of that, which is great. And talking of just going back to casting, did you know the actors before? Did you put out a casting call? How did you find the casting process?
So the producers and I, when we're sort of starting it up, we wanted to be quite targeted with it because we're hoping to get actors that were obviously very good, but also a bit of a name to get a bit of funding to it, especially most of the crew, all the crew really. It was our first feature, or at least our first feature at that role. So we didn't have much else going for us. So we wanted to get a sort of name, or at least a recognizable face. So we were targeted a little bit. We were sort of more approaching agents or sort of, talent agents, talent managers to be like, hey, we've got this script. Wouldn't you think anyone could find it? And then we spoke out to our actors' agents, and so both our two leads are from the same, with the same agency. So they sort of found them together, and the agent sent it on to them. They both loved it, both really liked the script, both thought each different role suited them. They weren't fighting over the same role, which made it a lot easier. And then read for it, and then we went and met them, and then thankfully it was just a very good fit all around. So it wasn't a very long, arduous casting process. We were quite targeted with it, which I think definitely helped with this.
Yeah, definitely. And is there anything you wish you'd known when you started making the film?
Oh, I think there's definitely lots of stuff. I think it feels like quite a while ago. I think having that, I picked up that attitude of just make it work by the end. I think at the start I was so nervous the first day on the way to shoot. We were filming in Clapham, so I was getting the tube there, and I was listening to music, but I felt so sick on the way. I was actually like shaking, had to listen to relaxing Zen music on Spotify. But thankfully, the production designer, who's a friend of mine, was on the same tube, so she came up and was like, "You're right," and I was like, "Oh yeah, you're right." But she calmed me down. But then actually just getting into it and seeing, because I think I was feeling the pressure of the whole thing, whereas I got there and then saw all the amazing, quite a small crew, but amazing crew, all just getting on with their roles. It let me just relax into it a lot more and focus on what I was doing and what I needed to do, and let the camera team worry about the camera, let the sound guys worry about sound. Obviously oversee it, but not have to stretch myself so thin, which I think, coming from making shorts, and especially low budget shorts where you're pulling in favors, you kind of have to oversee everything a lot more. On this, it was like, okay, trust the team to do what they're going to do and just focus on what I can control, which is probably what I'd take away from it.
Yeah. And where are you now? Are you looking at sales and distribution? Have you spoken to anyone? Are you sending it out yet? What's your plan with that?
So we've got a distributor on board. We've got Verve Pictures, who are brilliant. They sort of came on board end of last year. So we showcased the film at the London Film Festival Works in Progress showcase, and quite a lot of people actually were interested, which is a very nice surprise. And they came on board, so they're sorting out our festival run. So we've just been accepted into a couple of more festivals. I can't say which ones yet, but they'll be announced soon. So we're hoping to have festival run for a few months, and then they're looking at cinema release in sort of summertime. That's
cool.
Yeah, so that's how it's all lining up now. So they're think there's some promise to it. They're going to take it and run with it. So it's quite nice to think getting them on board, having the sort of, we edited a 5-minute clip for the showcase in October while we're still in pre-production, and then they saw that, and then based on the back of that said they're interested. Then when we had something more to show them, they agreed to take on the whole thing.
Brilliant. Well, you're on easy street. You're getting into all these festivals. Jeez, it wasn't like this for me.
Mate, I don't know. I was talking to my DP a while ago, and it feels like a lot of small miracles have happened for it all to work out this way.
Yeah, I think I'm starting to get a bit envious because you've sent an email off to a casting agent. They've found you 2 perfect people. Now you're getting into these festivals. You've got distribution. No, good luck to you. I know you've talked about what you wish you'd known, but if you were speaking to someone now who's just about to either write or shoot their first feature, what advice would you give them?
I would say, I think there's definitely some practical sides of it that I learned when I first read the script 2 years ago now, a while ago. I thought, oh, this would be really easy to make. It's a very small cast set over one night. No, I would not. I would think quite differently now. I think for a first feature, some ways of it works out. Having a small cast was very helpful, but also some sides of it I didn't realise in my naivety would be as much of a challenge as they were. Setting over one night is a continuity nightmare, especially when we're moving around so much. Having so many locations, that was a big stress during shooting. I think making it as manageable as possible. The small cast was great. I think if we'd limited it to a few or a lot less locations, that would have made it a lot easier. But the main thing that I think helped make it go as smoothly as it did, and it wasn't always smooth. There were some very fraught days on set. We were in a basement that flooded one day. There was like a thunderstorm one day. Lots of things did go awry, but we sort of rolled with it. Having a really good crew, I honestly can't overstate how valuable that was to the whole thing. Having my two ADs that were just fantastic and just dealt with so much stuff, so I could worry about that. The camera team were, I think, might be wizards, because the things that they managed to pull off, just the DOP and two ACs. We didn't have a lighting team. It was just the three of them doing everything. The sound team just got on with everything. Having the crew just to handle it all, get on with it, and having quite a small team actually helped, because it wasn't a lot of moving parts. I think that did help in a lot of ways. There wasn't, a massive chain of command for things to get around. It was sort of 20 to 30 of us most days, so we could just get on with things as quick and quite efficiently. That definitely helped. The set felt quite like a short film set, really, in a lot of ways. Just a small bunch of people all just working together, a bit of overlap between departments and things. I think that kind of helped in that way. Obviously, I would have gladly accepted 100 more crew members if that had been an offer, but alas, that was not the case.
So I just finished with some of my fun questions, which I ask everybody. So if you could reboot or remake any film or franchise, what would you pick?
If from a film side of it, I'd love to bring something sci-fi back, like making a sort of really stripped back another Terminator film would be, I think, really cool. I think taking it quite back to its roots, back to basics, could be a really cool approach.
Got a bit out of hand, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it keeps trying to do something new, but I think it just hasn't quite gone back to the sort of that original aesthetic. I think something like that could be where you just sort of really strip it back and do a little bit maybe more practically if you can, could be really good. Or I do a remake of Miss Congeniality or a reboot, because I think that is just such a fun guilty pleasure. I'm actually not guilty about it, but a really good fun franchise. Yeah,
good movies, both of those. And the last one, you may have already answered this with your motto on set, but have you got a motto or a mantra?
I think Won't Make It Work is one, of just, things are going to happen. Worry about what you can worry about, and don't sort of stress what is out of your control. Prepare as best you can. Do all the prep. Like, I had a notebook where I go through every scene that we're shooting day by day and just think of, like, right, what is this character thinking? What is this character thinking? What happens? What needs to happen? How does that all work? What's the subtext of it? Also, I was prepared for each scene. I had that ready to hand if I needed to. Also, when some things were up in the air, I wasn't going to stay up stressing about the weather. I was like, we have a plan in place. What's going to happen is going to happen. And whatever goes, we'll just make it work. I think that is kind of a catch-all phrase, really. It kind of covers all issues that could possibly arise.
Hope you enjoyed that episode. If you'd like to hear from more industry professionals, how they got into the business and how you can do the same, or you just want to listen to some cool stories from movie sets around the world, then please do subscribe to the Honest Filmmaker podcast.